The lights in the council chamber glowed with an ancient power. The massive room floated in space above the planet Arxheim. Inside, creatures from 47 different worlds sat in their special seats. Some had scales, some had fur, some had skin that glowed in the dark. But they all shared one thing. They were the rulers of the galaxy. Today they gathered to discuss a problem. A small problem from a small world. Earth Elder Vixeril stood at the center of the room. She was very old. Her long life showed in every line of her face. She had lived for 800 years. She had seen the rise and fall of civilizations. She had watched wars end and peace begin. Nothing surprised her anymore. Or so she thought. A hologram appeared in the air above her head. It showed a blue and green planet, Earth. The image rotated slowly. Clouds moved across the surface. Oceans sparkled in the light of their yellow sun. The humans, Vixeril began, her voice carrying across the silent chamber. They have refused our invitation to join the Galactic Council. They claim they want to rule themselves. They say they do not need our guidance. Angry sounds filled the room. Some delegates hissed. Others growled. A few slammed their appendages on their desks. In the history of the galaxy, no species had ever refused the council. It was unthinkable. It was an insult. Commander Threllax of the Catheric Empire stood up. He was tall and covered in dark armor. His species had served as the council's military force for thousands of years. They had never lost a battle. The humans are barely spacefaring, Threllax said. His voice was deep and confident. They have only a few orbital stations. Their weapons are primitive. They still use kinetic projectiles and chemical explosives. My intelligence officers estimate their orbital defenses will fall in 6 to 8 hours. Ground resistance will collapse within 3 days. He pressed a button. The hologram changed. Now it showed human weapons. Guns that shot metal bullets. Missiles that flew on fire. Ships with simple armor plating. Look at this, Threllax continued. They have no energy shields. No plasma weapons. No quantum drives. They are children playing with toys. This will not be a war. It will be a lesson. Most of the council nodded in agreement, but 3 delegates sat quietly. They did not nod. They did not smile. They looked worried. One of them was Ambassador Zix of the Prelian Confederacy. She had spent time studying Earth. She had read human history. She had watched their entertainment programs. She had studied their wars. What she learned troubled her deeply. Elder Vixeril, Zix said, standing slowly. I wish to speak. Vixeril looked at her with ancient eyes. Speak, Ambassador. The humans are not as simple as they appear, Zix said carefully. Yes, their technology is less advanced than ours, but they have something we have not seen in a very long time. They have spent their entire existence fighting. Not fighting us, fighting each other. She pressed her own control. The hologram changed again. Now it showed numbers, terrible numbers. In their last century alone, they fought 2 global wars. The first killed 20 million of their own kind. The second killed 85 million. They have fought thousands of smaller wars. They have built weapons that could destroy their entire planet. Not once, but many times over. Threllax laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. This proves my point exactly. They are violent and primitive. They kill each other. They need the Council's guidance to become civilized. Zix shook her head. You misunderstand, Commander. They are not primitive. They are practiced. Every war has taught them new lessons, new tactics, new strategies. They have been perfecting the art of combat for 10,000 years, and they have been doing it against opponents who think like them. The chamber fell quiet for a moment, but only for a moment. Then the voices rose again. The majority wanted action. The majority wanted to teach these humans respect. Vixeril called for a vote. The result was clear. 44 species voted yes. Only 3 voted no. The decision was made. The Catheric Empire will bring the humans into compliance, Vixeril announced. Use appropriate force. Minimize casualties where possible. But make our power clear. These humans must learn their place in the galaxy. Threllax bowed. It will be done, Elder. I will personally lead Battle Group Crimson Talon, 50 ships. More than enough for this task. As the council session ended, Zix remained in her seat. She watched the other delegates leave.
She felt a deep sense of unease.
Something was wrong. The council had made a terrible mistake. She was sure of it. 2 weeks later, Battle Group Crimson Talon entered human space. 50 warships moved through the darkness between stars. Each ship carried thousands of warriors. Each ship had weapons that could level cities. Each ship had shields that could withstand any weapon the Council had ever encountered. On the bridge of his flagship, Commander Threllax studied the tactical display. Earth appeared as a small dot in the center of the screen. Around it, he could see human ships beginning to move. Small ships, weak ships, he smiled. This would be over quickly. But as his fleet moved closer, something unexpected happened. The human ships did not retreat. They did not send messages asking for mercy. They did not prepare to surrender. Instead, they accelerated. They were coming straight at the Catharak fleet. Commander Threllax watched the human ships approach on his display screen. They moved in strange patterns. No formation he recognized. No standard military doctrine. Each ship seemed to move on its own, following its own path. Analysis, he commanded his tactical officer. The officer studied his instruments. Sir, I count 63 human vessels. Most are smaller than our fighters. They have no energy shields. Their armor is basic metal alloy. I detect kinetic weapons and chemical missiles. No threat to our fleet, Threllax nodded. Everything was going as expected. Open a channel. Offer them one chance to surrender. The communications officer worked his controls. Then he looked up, confused. Sir, they are broadcasting, but not to us. What are they saying? They are playing music, sir. And there is a voice message. It says, you wanted a fight? You got one. Threllax felt a flicker of something he had not felt in many years. Uncertainty. These humans were not acting like any species he had conquered before. They should be afraid. They should be begging for terms. Instead, they were playing music and sending challenges. All ships activate shields and prepare to fire, he ordered. Disable their engines. We will capture them and teach them respect. The Catharak fleet moved into battle formation. It was a formation they had used for 1,000 years. Ships in a perfect sphere, shields overlapping, creating an impenetrable wall of energy. Nothing could break through it. Nothing ever had. The human ships reached firing range, and then everything changed. They did not slow down. They did not form up. Instead, they scattered like insects. Each ship moved in a different direction. Some dove up, some dove down. Some accelerated straight at the Catharak formation. Others circled around the flanks, then they opened fire. But not with the weak weapons Threllax expected. These weapons were different. Railguns fired solid metal rods at impossible speeds. The rods moved so fast they glowed white hot. When they hit the Catharak shields, they did not bounce off. They punched straight through. Shields at 70%. His tactical officer shouted. How are they doing this? Threllax had no answer. The shield should stop kinetic weapons easily, but these projectiles were moving at velocities no sane engineer would allow. The stress on the firing ship should tear it apart. Yet the human ships kept firing, kept moving, kept attacking. Missiles began to arrive. Hundreds of them. They came from every angle. The Catharak point defense systems destroyed most of them, but not all. And the ones that got through carried something terrible. Nuclear warheads. The Council had banned nuclear weapons 3,000 years ago. They were barbaric, dirty, dangerous to everyone, including the user. No civilized species used them anymore. But the humans did, and they used them well. White flashes filled the space around the Catharak fleet. Each explosion released massive amounts of radiation and heat. Shields flickered and failed. Armor melted. Electronics fried. And still the humans kept coming. Return fire, Threllax commanded. All weapons. Destroy them. The Catharak ships fired their plasma cannons. Beams of superheated energy lanced out. They were powerful enough to cut a ship in half. They were accurate enough to hit a target from thousands of kilometers away, but the human ships did not stay still long enough to hit. They moved like nothing Threllax had ever seen. Random acceleration, sudden stops, impossible turns. There was no pattern, no predictability. Each ship's captain seemed to be making it up as they went. And when the Catharak weapons did connect, the results were not what he expected. Some human ships exploded, but others kept fighting even after taking damage. One ship lost half its hull but continued firing until it ran out of ammunition. Another had its engines destroyed but used its remaining momentum to position itself for better shots. Cruiser 3 is reporting critical damage. The communications officer called out. Cruiser 7 has lost shields. Destroyer 12 is not responding. Threllax stared at his display in disbelief. They were losing. The mighty Catharic Empire, conquerors of 100 worlds, were losing to primitive humans with primitive weapons. A human ship broke through the formation. It was damaged. One entire side was blackened and torn. But its weapon still worked. It fired everything it had at close range into a Catharic destroyer. The destroyer's shields collapsed. Its hull ruptured. It began to spin out of control. Then something happened that made Threllax's blood run cold. The damaged human ship turned. It pointed its nose at his flagship. Its engines fired at full power. It was going to ram them. Evasive action. Threllax screamed. "All weapons, target that ship." Every weapon on the flagship fired at once. The human ship disappeared in a ball of plasma. But it was too late. Its momentum carried the wreckage forward. Tons of metal and explosive moving at thousands of meters per second. The wreckage hit the flagship's bridge section. Shields failed. Armor crumpled. Atmosphere vented into space. Warning alarms screamed in the sudden silence. Threllax pulled himself up from where he had fallen. His ears were ringing. Blood ran down the side of his face. Around him, his bridge crew lay dead or dying. Console screens flickered and went dark. Emergency lights cast everything in a red glow. He stumbled to a working console. The tactical display showed chaos. Half of his fleet was damaged or destroyed. The rest were scattered. The careful formation was gone. And the human ships were still attacking. Still fighting. Still winning. With shaking hands, Threllax opened an emergency channel to the Galactic Council. He had to warn them. Had to tell them they were wrong about the humans. Had to tell them to send reinforcements. "This is Commander Threllax," he began. His voice was weak. "The humans are not primitives. They are not weak. We need reinforcements. We need..." The transmission cut off. Another human ship had found his crippled flagship. And this time there was no escape. The Galactic Council chamber fell silent. Every delegate stared at the main display screen. The screen that had been showing real-time data from Battle Group Crimson Talon. The screen that now showed nothing but static. Elder Vixiril stood frozen. In 800 years of life, she had never seen this. Never even imagined it. An entire Catharic battle group. 50 warships. 200,000 warriors gone. Get them back online, she said. Her voice was quiet but firm. There must be an error with the transmission. The Council's technical staff worked frantically at their stations. They checked every system. They tried every frequency. They sent out emergency beacons. But the result was always the same, silence. "How long?" someone asked. "How long since the transmission ended?" A technician looked up from his console. His face was pale. 37 minutes, Elder. The battle lasted 37 minutes. The chamber erupted. Delegates jumped to their feet. Some shouted. Some cursed. Some simply stood in shock. The noise was deafening. Vixiril raised her hand for silence. It took several minutes before the chamber quieted enough for her to speak. "We need long-range scans of the battle area," she said. Now. The scans took time. Earth was far away. The data had to travel through many relay stations. When it finally arrived, no one wanted to believe it. The display showed a debris field. Pieces of Catharic ships drifted in the emptiness of space. Some pieces were as large as buildings. Others were as small as dust. There were thousands of them. Millions of them. All that remained of Battle Group Crimson Talon. "I detect one escape pod," the technician reported. Catharic design, broadcasting an automated distress signal. "That appears to be the only survivor." One survivor. Out of 200,000, a Catharic general stood up. His voice shook with rage. "This is an act of war. We must respond immediately. Send the entire armada. Turn their world to glass. Make them pay for..." "Sit down," Vixiril said. Her voice was sharp. "Sit down and be quiet. We need to think, not react." Ambassador Zix of the Prelian Confederacy stood slowly. She was one of the 3 who had voted against the attack. She did not look happy about being right. "May I speak, Elder?" she asked. Vixiril nodded. "Please. We need to understand what happened." Zix activated her own display. "While the battle was happening, my staff continued analyzing Earth. We have now completed a more thorough scan of the planet. What we found changes everything. New images appeared on the main screen. Images of Earth from different angles, different sensors, different spectrums of light. We made a mistake," Zix continued. "We assumed that because we detected low-energy signatures in some areas, the humans were primitive. We were wrong. They had simply built most of their important facilities underground, and underwater, and hidden in ways we did not expect. The display zoomed in on different locations: mountain complexes that hid massive military bases, ocean trenches that concealed submarine ports, deserts that covered underground cities. There are 47 major military installations on Earth, Zik said. We knew about 5 of them. The orbital defense platforms we detected were only a small fraction of their actual number. There are more than 200 such platforms. They simply kept most of them powered down until the Catheric fleet arrived. She pressed another button. More data filled the screen. Numbers, terrible numbers. The humans have a standing military force of 300 million trained personnel. They have manufacturing capacity that rivals our major worlds. They possess nuclear weapons numbering in the tens of thousands. These are weapons they built to use against each other, weapons they kept as a deterrent against their own kind. Another delegate stood. He was a historian. He looked sick. I have reviewed human military history in detail. The data is disturbing. In their last global conflict, they killed 85 million of their own species. That is more than the population of many council worlds, and they did it with technology that was primitive even by their current standards. He pulled up more information. Records of human wars, battles, strategies. They have been fighting wars of total annihilation for thousands of years. Wars where the goal was not conquest or resources, but complete destruction of the enemy. Every war taught them new lessons. Every battle refined their tactics, Zix nodded. The Catheric fought to subjugate. That is standard council doctrine. Disable enemy ships, minimize casualties, show overwhelming force and accept surrender. It is a civilized way to wage war. She paused. The humans fought to win, at any cost. They used tactics we consider barbaric because we have not needed them in 10,000 years of peace. They fought like they were fighting other humans, because that is what they know. That is what they have always done. The Catheric general spoke again. His voice was quieter now, less angry, more thoughtful. I have reviewed the battle data we did receive. The humans used tactics from dozens of different combat philosophies. Some I recognized from ancient wars, some I did not recognize at all. Each ship fought differently. There was no single strategy, no predictable pattern. He looked around the chamber. We train our warriors to follow orders, to fight as a unit, to execute a battle plan. The humans trained their warriors to think, to adapt, to improvise. Every ship captain made their own decisions. They were not following a plan. They were creating one as they fought. The chamber fell silent again, but this time it was a different kind of silence. Not shock, understanding. They were beginning to see the truth. Vixeril looked at the debris field on the display. 50 ships, the pride of the Catheric Empire, reduced to floating wreckage in 37 minutes. We did not attack a primitive species, she said quietly. We attacked a species that has been perfecting warfare for their entire existence. We picked a fight with warriors who have never known peace, and now we must decide what to do next. As the council began to debate their response, a new alert appeared on the main display. Another transmission from Earth. This time the humans were calling them. The council chamber fell silent as a human face appeared on the main display. She was a woman wearing a military uniform, dark blue with silver markings. Her hair was pulled back tightly. Her face showed lines of stress and exhaustion, but her eyes were clear and steady. This is Admiral Chen of the United Earth Defense Force, she said. Her voice was calm, professional, not angry or triumphant, just matter of fact. I am speaking on behalf of the governments and people of Earth. Elder Vixeril stepped forward. Admiral Chen, I am Elder Vixeril of the Galactic Council. I wish to discuss— This is not a negotiation, Admiral Chen interrupted. This is a statement. Your fleet entered our solar system without permission. They ignored all attempts at communication. They took up attack positions around our homeworld. We defended ourselves, she paused. When she continued, her voice was harder. Your fleet has been neutralized. We are prepared to allow recovery of survivors and debris. You have 48 hours to retrieve what remains. After that time, we will consider our solar system closed to all Galactic Council vessels. Several delegates began shouting at once. The Catharic general stood up, his face dark with fury. You dare threaten the Council? We will send 1,000 ships, 5,000 if needed. We will— Admiral Chen's expression did not change. If you send another fleet, we will assume hostile intent. We will respond accordingly. And next time, We will not stop at the edge of our solar system. We have studied your technology carefully. We know where your shipyards are. We know where your military stations are. We know where your homeworlds are. The chamber went silent. What Admiral Chen was saying was clear. If the Council attacked again, the humans would take the war to Council space. They would strike back at Council worlds. However, Admiral Chen continued, we are not interested in war. We did not ask for this fight. You brought it to us. We want peace. But we want it as equals, not as subjects. Not as children who need guidance. As equals. Vixeril raised her hand to quiet the other delegates. Admiral Chen, what exactly are you proposing? Diplomatic relations, Admiral Chen said. Trade agreements. Cultural exchange. All the things the Council offers to its members. But we will not bow. We will not submit. And we will not give up our right to defend ourselves. Behind her, other humans appeared on the screen. Men and women in different uniforms. Different skin colors. Different features. Representatives from different parts of Earth, Vixeril realized. A show of unity. We know we are not the most advanced species in the galaxy, Admiral Chen said. We have much to learn, but we also have much to offer. We are willing to share. We are willing to trade. We are willing to join the galactic community, but only as partners, not as subordinates. The transmission ended. The display went dark. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the Catheric general stood again. This is outrageous. They destroyed our fleet and now they make demands. We cannot accept this. The Empire will never. The Empire lost, Vixeril said quietly. That is the reality we must face. The Catheric Empire, which has never been defeated in 1,000 years of service, lost to a species we called primitive. She looked around the chamber. And if we send more ships, we will lose more warriors. Maybe we will eventually win. But at what cost? How many ships must we lose? How many lives? And what happens when the humans do what they promise? When they bring the war to our worlds? When our cities burn like theirs could have? Ambassador Zik stood. The humans have shown remarkable restraint. They could have pursued our damaged ships. They could have sent attacks to Council space while we debate. They chose not to. They are offering peace. We should accept it. The historian nodded. I agree. The humans understand something we have forgotten. They know that the best victory is the one where both sides can walk away. They fought to defend their world, not to conquer ours. That shows wisdom. More delegates stood and spoke. The debate continued for hours. The Catheric delegation walked out in protest. But they were alone. Slowly, the rest of the council came to a consensus. 3 days later, Elder Vixeril stood before the council again. This time Admiral Chen appeared on the screen by invitation. Not as a defeated enemy, not as a supplicant asking for mercy, but as a representative of a sovereign world. The Galactic Council recognizes Earth as a sovereign world, Vixeril announced. We acknowledge that our actions were precipitous and not in keeping with our stated values of peaceful coexistence. We offer formal apologies for the attack on your system. She took a breath. We invite Earth to join the galactic community as an observer. You will have a voice in council proceedings. You will have access to our trade networks. You will be recognized as equals. Admiral Chen nodded slowly. On behalf of Earth, we accept. We look forward to peaceful relations with all council species. There is one more thing, Vixeril said. Many council species have expressed interest in learning more about human military tactics and strategies. The galaxy has been at peace for so long that our defensive capabilities have atrophied. Would Earth be willing to share knowledge? Admiral Chen was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke carefully. We will consider it. But you must understand something. We did not become good at war because we wanted to. We became good at it because we had no choice. We fought each other for thousands of years. We nearly destroyed ourselves. We still struggle with the legacy of that violence. She looked directly at Vixeril. If we teach you what we know, it must be for defense only. Not conquest, not subjugation, defense. Can you promise that? Vixeril met her gaze. Yes, that is all we want. The ability to protect ourselves. Nothing more. Admiral Chen nodded. Then we will share what we can. But slowly. Carefully. War is not something to be taken lightly. It is not glorious. It is not noble. It is terrible, and necessary only when all other options have failed. The transmission ended. Vixeril looked around the chamber. The galaxy had changed today. Humanity had forced that change. Not through conquest, but through strength. Not through demands, but through demonstration. They had shown the Council that the universe was larger and more dangerous than they remembered. And they had offered to help the Council remember how to survive in it. 6 months had passed since the battle. 6 months since everything changed. Admiral Chen stood in the observation deck of Earth's new embassy. The station orbited Arxheim, the neutral world that hosted the Galactic Council. Through the large windows, she could see council ships coming and going. Vessels from dozens of species. Some looked like living creatures. Others were geometric shapes that seemed impossible. All of them were more advanced than anything humanity had built. But they had come to Earth. They had asked for help. And that made all the difference. A young officer approached. Lieutenant Park. He had been assigned to the embassy staff. "Admiral, you have a meeting with Ambassador Zix in 10 minutes. Chen nodded. "Thank you, Lieutenant. How are the training programs going?" Park smiled. "Very well, sir. We have representatives from 12 council species learning at our military academies on Earth. They are very eager, very interested in everything we teach them." "What are they most interested in?" Chen asked. "Strategy, mostly," Park replied. "They understand weapons. They understand tactics. But they are fascinated by how we think about war, how we plan for different scenarios, how we train our people to make decisions under pressure, things they have not needed to think about for thousands of years." Chen turned back to the window. "And what are we learning from them?" Park pulled out a data pad. "The technology exchange is going very well. We now have access to advanced medical equipment that has already saved thousands of lives. Their agricultural technology will help us end hunger. Their energy systems are clean and efficient, and their FTL drives will let us explore beyond our solar system." He paused. "But I think the most valuable thing we are learning is perspective. They have been watching the stars for millions of years. They have seen civilizations rise and fall. They have knowledge we cannot even imagine." Chen smiled slightly. "And in return, we teach them how to fight. It seems like an unfair trade." "They do not think so, sir. Ambassador Zix told me that what we are teaching them is not just about war. It is about survival, about adapting to threats, about not becoming complacent, things they had forgotten." Chen checked the time. "I should go. I do not want to be late." She walked through the corridors of the embassy. Human crew members worked alongside council species. The initial awkwardness had faded. Now they worked together smoothly. Some had even become friends. Ambassador Zix was waiting in the conference room. The Prelian diplomat stood as Chen entered. They had become close over the past months. Zix had been one of the few who understood humanity from the beginning. Now she served as a bridge between Earth and the Council. "Admiral Chen," Zix said warmly. "Thank you for meeting with me." "Of course." "What can I do for you?" Zix gestured to the chairs. They both sat. "I wanted to discuss the Catharak Empire. They have not returned to the Council. They remain isolated, angry." Chen frowned. "I had hoped time would heal that wound. Their pride was deeply hurt," Zix said. "They had never been defeated. Never lost a battle. Your victory shook their entire culture. But there is news. Their new leadership has reached out. They want to talk privately with you." Chen was surprised. "With me? Why?" "They want to understand," Zix explained. "They have studied the battle recordings. They have analyzed your tactics. They have accepted that they lost. But they want to know how. They want to learn." Chen considered this. "And you think I should meet with them?" "I think it would be good for everyone," Zix said. The Catharak were the Council's military arm for thousands of years. Their experience is valuable. Their strength is real. If they can set aside their anger and work with us, the galaxy will be safer." Chen thought about it, about the Catharak warriors who had died, about Commander Threllax who had only been following orders, about the cycle of violence that could continue or could end. "I will meet with them," she said finally, "but only if they come in peace. Only if they truly want to learn and not just gather intelligence for another attack." Zix smiled. "They know that another attack would be suicide. No, they want what everyone else wants, to understand the humans, to understand how a species so young and so violent can also be so restrained. You could have destroyed their home world. You chose not to. That impressed them more than your victory." Later that evening, Chen returned to the observation deck. She stood alone, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth. Home. The world that had somehow become the teacher instead of the student. She thought about the path that had brought them here, about the near wars between human nations, about the nuclear standoffs, about the countless small conflicts that had taught humanity hard lessons about the cost of war, about the restraint that came from knowing, truly knowing, what weapons of mass destruction could do. The Council species had never faced that. They had never built weapons that could end their own civilizations. They had never stood on the edge of extinction by their own hand. So when they went to war, it was always theoretical, always controlled, always civilized. Humanity knew better. Humanity had looked into the abyss, and that knowledge made them both more dangerous and more careful. Lieutenant Park approached quietly. "Admiral, there is one more thing before you retire for the evening." "Yes?" "Elder Vixerl wanted me to pass along a message. The Council is voting next week on granting Earth full membership status. Not observer status. Full membership. She expects it to pass unanimously." Chen allowed herself a genuine smile. "That is good news." Park hesitated. "Sir, can I ask you something? Do you think we made the right choice, joining the Council? Teaching them our military knowledge? Some people back home are worried that we are creating our own future enemies." Chen turned to face him. "That is a fair concern, but I believe we made the right choice. The Council could have sent 1,000 ships after that first defeat. They could have tried to destroy us out of fear or pride. Instead, they chose to talk, to learn, to accept us as equals." She looked back out at the stars. "We showed them our strength. Now we are showing them our wisdom. We are teaching them not how to wage war, but how to prevent it. How to be strong enough that no one dares attack. How to be wise enough to know when not to attack." She paused. "Besides, we need them as much as they need us. We have knowledge of war. They have knowledge of everything else. Together we are stronger than apart." Park nodded slowly. "I hope you are right, sir." "So do I, Lieutenant." "So do I." As the young officer left, Chen remained at the window. The galaxy stretched out before her, infinite and full of possibilities. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through submission, not through conquest, but through strength tempered by wisdom, through the hard-learned lessons of 10,000 years of war, and now finally through peace, a peace built on mutual respect and mutual need. It was a new beginning. For humanity, for the Council, for the entire galaxy.